I want to tell you one of the most compelling reasons I do the work that I do. It isn't because I've studied psychology, and it isn't because I've read books on suffering. I've done all that in spades, and I suspect maybe you have too. I do this work because I remember. I remember what it felt like to be a little girl trying to find her place in a world that rarely, if at all, felt safe. I remember what it felt like to carry pain that nobody quite knew how to meet. I remember trying so hard to become someone who fit in, to become someone who looked well adjusted, somebody who responded the right way according to society's dictates, someone who could finally stop feeling like she was standing just outside of herself. One of the deepest human needs we have is to be seen, to be recognized, to belong, not to be analyzed or repaired or managed, not even encouraged, just to be seen. And I can tell you from my own life that very few people know how to do that without immediately trying to change us. There can be times, maybe moments, months, maybe entire seasons or years in a human life where our human suffering, it's not just emotional, it's existential. Those are the times when the mind asks, why have I always struggled? Why does this keep happening? What's wrong with me? Do I belong here? Is there room? Am I outcast? The mind asks these questions because that's what minds do. And then something almost impossible happened inside that questioning for myself. I noticed the mind trying to answer itself. Think about that for a moment. The mind trying to solve the very problem the mind is asking about. That's actually incredibly common and at the same time quite weird and wild. I spent years there, decades if I'm honest, entire chapters of my whole life, searching, trying to think my way into some kind of perception of freedom. The mind trying to solve itself. Now, the questions aren't wrong. It was just that I was asking the wrong part of myself to answer those questions. Doesn't the mind have extraordinary gifts of thinking, of feeling, of memory, of problem solving, of creating? It can organize a business, it can write a grocery list. But when it comes to the deepest questions of being human, it can reach an edge where it needs some help. It needs to make way for what else is here in this marvelous human experience. It just doesn't have the capacity to hold everything because capacity doesn't live in the mind. No one can think their way into capacity. That realization changed my life when I finally stopped demanding that my thinking mind give me something that it was never designed to give. Something began to change from there. Instead, I learned an orientation, and it wasn't about thinking. Before I asked my mind what to do, I returned to conscious awareness, not as an idea, the experience of conscious awareness. Something very different happens there. Capacity becomes available, and from capacity, I can make the next choice with my thinking, feeling, remembering mind. It's how this video got made. Sometimes the next choice is profound. Sometimes it's brushing my teeth. Sometimes it's making tea or getting out of bed. Sometimes it's grieving. Sometimes it's making a phone call or getting organized. Sometimes it's just noticing the activity of the berating mind as the activity of a mind. Not trying to silence it, not trying to argue with it, not trying to become a better thinker. Just noticing it from the conscious awareness that already exists outside of it. Allowing it to chatter if it must, without asking it to become anything other than what thinking minds do. Because that voice, It's never the whole of who you are. And it's not the final story. The size of the choices we make isn't what matters. Capacity is what matters. And here's something I wish someone had told me many years ago. Capacity isn't something the thinking mind permanently can hold on to. It waxes and wanes there in the thinking mind. As life happens, grief happens, trauma happens, loss happens, our thinking mind races off trying to solve everything again. And when it does, we return again to conscious awareness, to capacity, and then choice. That's the golden ticket. Not once, hundreds of times, thousands of times. It's not about becoming a person who never struggles. It's about discovering that there's something here that can hold the struggle without becoming it. That's why this work matters to me. It's because I remember believing I had to figure it all out before I deserved to belong. I remember wondering if anyone could actually meet me where I was. So today, if you feel flattened by life, come. If your mind won't stop asking questions, come. If you're exhausted from trying to solve yourself, come. You don't have to arrive calm. You don't have to arrive hopeful. You don't have to arrive fixed, and you don't have to arrive smart. You only have to arrive as you are. The workshop, happening on the 25th, isn't about discussing philosophy. It's experiential. Together we'll learn how to notice, how to open to conscious awareness, see capacity become available, and notice how choice naturally follows. Not because we're forcing ourselves to think differently, it's because we've stopped asking the thinking mind to carry a burden it was never designed to carry. If this speaks to something perhaps you've known, but haven't quite been able to put it into words, I'd love to have you with us at the workshop. There's also a free 7-day email orientation if you'd like to begin there. Both links are in the description above this video and below in the comments section. Either way, you don't have to navigate this alone anymore. Thanks for showing up today. I'll see you soon.